This episode of the Royal Ocean Film Society is brought to you by Squarespace. This is the Before Trilogy. And this is how to have a conversation.
All right, you know what? I'm just happy to see you, even if you've become an angry, manic-depressive activist. I still like you. I still enjoy being around you.
For so many, including me, Richard Linklater's Before Trilogy is one of the prime examples of not only how good dialogue can be entirely engrossing, but how conversation itself can be placed at the forefront of a film, acting as its structure and driving force. Think about it for a second. Your more typical film structure will start with the plot and have dialogue come about as a byproduct that acts in total service to that plot. But the Before Trilogy flips that, instead starting with the dialogue, with main characters Jesse and Celine's long, rambling conversations and having any plot come about secondarily. But I think what makes the films all the more endearing isn't just that conversation is front and center, but the fact that all three films feel entirely alive, that they flow with such an incredible naturalism that makes virtually every line and motion feel entirely spontaneous and improvised, even though in reality it's the complete opposite. I want to take a few minutes to talk about how Linklater achieves something that's so incredibly difficult, the idea of writing that doesn't look like writing. They may feel improvised, but a quick comparison between them and the films of someone like Joe Swanberg, one of the resident godfathers of mumblecore, quickly puts that to rest. For a better comparison, look to something like Louis Mallet's My Dinner with Andre, an equally intellectual but still engrossing and free-flowing hour-and-a-half conversation between two old friends.
I mean, you like to be comfortable, and I like to be comfortable too, but comfort can lull you into a dangerous tranquility.
Both films achieve their naturalism in part through a rigorous writing process, but the ending effect has less to do with the content of their conversations than it does with the way they're constructed. Consider, your normal movie fight usually looks something like this.
What do you mean the long haul?
I mean the long haul, like you're gonna stay in this band for a long time.
You didn't think it would be successful?
I don't...
I thought you wanted me to do this. It just sounds like now you don't want me to do it.
I do like jazz now because of you.
And this is what I thought you wanted me to do. Why?
I'm pointing out that you had a dream, that you followed, that you were sticking to.
This is the dream.
Why do you care so much about being liked?
You're an actress. What are you talking about?
But jump over to the Before Trilogy and we get something far different.
I'm not gonna do it. This is bigger than me. This means more than me. You always get like this when you drop him off. You're sad, so you start a fight.
You just really fucked that up.
You mean you fucked up by moving to Paris to be with me?
No,
I knew that was gonna cost too much.
Stop, that's not what I
meant.
And you were away so often and calling me and asking me how my day went. And
The way you write in your books, people come up to me and think I make love to some wildcat Henry Miller type. Ha!
That is a bunch of stifling bullshit!
Now which one do you think better resembles what an actual fight looks like? I think that's what so much of the Before Trilogy's brilliance boils down to. This very kind of simple accuracy in the way everyday conversations are structured. Like the way conversation isn't really linear or ordered, and how people will just go off on different tangents and different thoughts in the span of just a few minutes.
But the reality of it is that the true work of improving things is in the little achievements of the day.
But that's so hard, to be in the moment. I mean, I just feel like I'm designed to be slightly dissatisfied with everything.
Or the way silence or just dialogue-free moments can say just as much and can underscore a feeling or a decision.
So what about this time machine?
The other side of creating that effect of writing that doesn't look like writing are of course the performances themselves. However, so much of the success of those performances aren't so much due to the particular day of shooting, but rather Richard Linklater's specific intensive rehearsal process. A process that isn't limited to just blocking and running lines over and over, but is all about thorough revision, about a cooperative effort to effectively rewrite the script.
We got to read through the whole script as Rick had conceived it, and Julie and I were allowed to basically veto anything that we didn't like. And so we kind of went through the script and said, oh, I like this element of this idea of the character.
But I don't like this.
And we were left with this kind of essential outline of the movie. And then we reconstructed it through talking. And it was the most incredible experience I'd ever had.
Yeah, it was just like we would to this day once we're rehearsing instead of writing. It's like we hear it out loud. Oh, that's working pretty well. Let's go with, and then other things like, let's just keep
I remember the
Let's
one we
dig
struggled-
deeper
we
into that.
And that's because Linklater's philosophy is based on the idea that you can only take the script so far by yourself. You can set and solidify the foundation, but in order to build, you have to have cooperation.
With the actors, you're trying to go to some new level that you can't yet imagine. The alchemy, hasn't happened yet. It's on the page, which is very abstract. I mean, it's as far as you could go. It's, the blueprint cliche is pretty accurate. It's that, but it's not the final, manifestation of that.
Because if 12 of us are sitting in a room and there's something in the script that I've had in there for 10 years that I think's pretty funny, and we do it and there's a chuckle and we do it again, I can see, no one, it's not taking flight, it's not really like, and I'm going like, well, that's not that funny, but they're my first audience. So it's a process of it's a subtle rewriting. I mean, the tone of the movie stays the same, the spirit of it, the themes, all that's there. Ethan Hawke once described it, the music's there. We're just working on the lyrics.
It's certainly not the only way of working, but it is a purposeful process that exists to bridge the gap between actor and character, by giving the actors the time and space to literally help design their character, rather than just simply having to fit inside an exact stringent mold. And it's in large part because of Linklater's process that the films end up feeling so alive and spontaneous. Sure, it has to do with other things, the camera work, the editing, but the most important part is that in a very real way, Julie Delpy and Ethan Hawke are performing their own words. That's how and why a scene like this can feel so alive.
I mean, is that why we're all so scattered? Is that why we're all so specialized?
Wait a minute, I'm not sure. I don't agree.
I know. It's a totally scattered thought. Which is kind of why it makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Let's get off this damn train.
Extra special thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. If you don't know, Squarespace has beautiful award-winning templates that you can use to build a website for any kind of business that you have. If you're a musician, a filmmaker, a photographer, or anything else, Squarespace is the absolute perfect platform to showcase your work. There's nothing to install or patch or upgrade ever, and best of all, it's incredibly easy to use. You can go to squarespace.com/RoyalOceanFilm to save 10% off your first order. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to check out my other videos, you can click right over here. If you'd like to support Royal Ocean on Patreon, you can click right here. And if you haven't, please be sure to subscribe.